Hello, this is Dominic from the Jack and Dom Radio Show, a weekly sports radio program, and although we broadcast on professional hardware, we do record our show mostly on my laptop, and sometimes I don't press record right when we start. Some shows will start right in the middle of a topic. Regardless, this show is a work of love and passion for sports with raw and transparent opinions between the two of us. So I hope you all enjoy. Hello, this is WUPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom Radio Show. I am Dominic. Jack, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you? I had a nice little hiatus.
A little bit. I mean, lots of snow, lots to talk about. Our president, school president's leaving, which kind of sucks. Although, I mean, there were some things that I've heard some people didn't like, but we don't have to worry about that anymore, right? But I heard a lot of people.
I thought you did a great job. It's just, obviously tough as a student to have an interim and have to go through the process of searching for a president again.
Yeah.
Just 2 years after we did that for Brock. So wish him all the best in his future endeavors. It's just bad timing for NMU with all the projects that we have going on right now.
Yes.
Construction, things like that. So hopefully NMU is able to do a swift and productive search for president. Hopefully it won't have much of an impact on athletics either, because obviously we've gotten athletics.
We got Rick. Rick will stay for probably a little while.
We just don't know how long.
He's
getting up there in terms of years and deserves a well-earned retirement at some point in the near future.
Oh, of course.
So, you got to have some stability at the presidential position to be able to potentially conduct a search for a future athletic director in the next, 5 years, maybe 10. I don't know how long he's going to continue to do it. But
anyway, the opinions said on the show do not represent the opinions of this radio station or the university. If you so choose, you are able to get the recording of the show on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Also, we are on social media. So if you so choose, you can currently find us on Twitter and Facebook. Just look up the Jack and Dom Radio Show. If there's any particular topics you guys want us to talk about, definitely tag us on those platforms. Anyway, that being said, good evening, everyone. Lots to talk about. Transfer portal, lots of stuff in the transfer portal, or how Coach Matt likes to call it, portal combat. That is what he calls it, and that is what it is. The Mining Journal recently posted that on the first day when the transfer portal opened for hockey, 11 NMU hockey players went on the transfer portal. I shared the link on the show sheet so that, Jack, you got to take a look at it. And what you said, there are some notable players on this transfer portal?
Yeah, so let's talk about it. I mean, it was unlike last year where it was really unexpected because we obviously had a coaching change. This was kind of predictable in the sense that you knew that they got a lot of players out of the portal at the last minute, kind of the quote-unquote, you never like to say this about guys, but they really were the leftovers in the portal, right? Because Coach Shayak was hired so late in the year. So we didn't really have the opportunity to get some of those star transfers, nor really build his own team. So, a lot of guys kind of come in last minute. That was expected. There are a few names here on, though, that for me and for other fans of this Wildcat hockey team, I think are a bit surprising. Not the level of last year where you lost the whole team, including our beloved Benny, but
Benny, I'll miss him.
Still, certainly a surprising result. So the first and probably most surprising is Marquette native Jacob Peterson, who was one of the alternate captains on NMU's team. Didn't have a great season, just 6 points on 2 goals and 4 assists, but he had 37 blocked shots and was one of the better defensive forwards on this team. So he was definitely a surprise. We had 14 players last year, 11 this year, so we'll probably end up with about 14 once the transfer portal goes into full swing. I think the most shocking and most disappointing is Rasmus Larsson, the defenseman, who is a NHL prospect. So a little bit disappointing there. One of our better defensemen as a freshman. And then you had three other defensemen, none of whom had significant impact on this team. Will Diamond, 22 games, just 1 goal. Trevor Mitchell, 14 games, 1 assist. And Wolfgang Guvadaris, no points in 30 games. So net total combined, 2 points for those three defensemen. So those were the guys that you thought, might transfer. But Peterson and Larson really surprising.
Yeah.
And that's really going to hurt, I think. And I'm really surprised by Jakob Pedersen, certainly, and Rasmus Larson as well. Made a mistake, actually. I apologize. Peterson is a defenseman, according to this article. Then you have 4 forwards, which, again, doesn't surprise me. You have sophomore Brandon Poshak, who had 1 goal and 1 assist in 25 games. So, again, not much production. Here's the one that I think is going to hurt this team the most. Ryan Duguay.
Okay.
Freshman forward, second in NMU with 6 goals. That one's going to hurt. And then a couple other guys that had little to no impact. And Billy Renfrew, just 1 goal and 2 assists in 31 games. And Colby Brown, 1 assist in 19 games. So, bottom line is you have 3 really good, solid NMU players and about 6 guys combined in the forward and defense. Areas that really didn't have much of an impact were some of those last-minute transfer pickups or holdovers from the Grant era. So not surprising to see those move on, although the 3 kind of stars are going to hurt. And then both of the Wildcats goaltenders are gone. Ryan Ouellette graduated, so we now have 0 goalies on the roster, although I believe
Again?
I talked about...
Oh, my gosh.
I think I talked about a couple weeks, though. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 and who they were.
Yeah.
But that there are some freshmen coming in. But you're going to have to get a transfer because you're not going to start a true freshman, I don't think. But Ethan Barwick, redshirt freshman, really struggled here. And then Julian Molinaro really didn't get much of a opportunity. Both are now gone. And then Ryan Ouellette, Jesse Tucker, and Jakob Lewandowski all graduating the program. So it will kind of be interesting to see how the team shapes up this following year. It's definitely going to be different. I don't know if they're going to be better, worse, or the same. It really depends on how active NMU is going to be within the portal, especially with NIL being a factor.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
NMU has gotten a lot of investment recently from donors in the athletic department, so they
Especially in football.
Right, but in other areas too.
Yes. How else do we get the Vendiment Arena renovated?
Right, they've got a lot of money. Whether you like it or not, the athletic department is probably the most funded entity on this.
Dollar bills, y'all. That's right.
Despite the fact that they don't win a lot of games. But that is very much the reality. And so hopefully you can get active in the portal and get some guys in here. So Dom and I am sure will keep a close eye throughout the month of April on what is occurring. Crazy, by the way, to think that it's already April and that we're really only going to have like 3 more shows. Time has just flown by, I think.
Yeah.
But you've got some news about the basketball team.
Yes. So there's also the transfer portal in with our basketball team. I don't have any news regarding the women's team yet. I'll look that up.
Posted.
Yeah, we'll keep it posted. But there are, as of at least right now, or at least April 2nd, the last time I checked. Well, actually, I just checked just now. But we have 6 basketball players in the transfer portal, but 3 of them, specifically Gerald, Derek, and Biggie, they have something what's called a JUCO exception. So recently, there was a court case involving JUCO players, some JUCO players, where if they took a year off of junior college, that's what JUCO stands for those who don't know. If you went to a junior college or a community college, you are given 1 additional year of college sports eligibility, but just for Division I. So Gerald, Derek, and Biggie are in the transfer portal, but in just for Division I. So if they ever play another year in sports, which 2 of them, I believe, are graduating and getting their bachelor's anyway, so that they would be done nonetheless. But they are allowed 1 more year of eligibility for any Division I school that will take them. In addition to that, Peter, Brandon, and Michael are also in the transfer portal as well, with at least 2 or 3 years of eligibility remaining. So we will see how that goes. I know it was a surprise for Michael because he's a freshman this year, fairly good. Like I think he was a starter for a handful of games, and so yeah, he will. I mean, I don't know. I thought he would be a star player at least, 2-3 years from now. He did fairly well against Michigan State. I remember a few times watching the Michigan State game, Michael would, in front of a 7-foot D1 center, just pop floaters over him like it was nothing. And this is like a freshman D2 player, just like
so maybe
being able to analyze that on the fly and, able to get those scores. So yeah, like I said, I've said before, wish for the best for everyone. I will miss some of the guys in the transfer portal. It's kind of one of those things, being part of the basketball team as a intern team manager. I'll miss some of the guys, but I know some of the guys won't miss me. So it is what it is.
Hopefully they move up, though. I think you, Michael, and some others might be Division I caliber. Yeah. Speaking of Division I,
well, before we bring that up, the spring football game is April 12th against Duluth. So
can we keep it within 30?
Possibly, but with the schedule, the football schedule just came out recently, and I'm looking at it, and I spit my drink partway through, and I'm like, OMG, bleep, bleep, bleep. Yeah. Why did we schedule a Division I school? That was at home.
Right.
It's at home.
We can't even beat D3.
We can't beat D3 schools. D1. So there are some theories on this.
And before you get to the theory,
sure,
I just want to put out there that the D1 school is St. Thomas.
St. Thomas,
Minnesota.
The
same St. Thomas that we've played in hockey, that play dirty every time we play them. The preppy private school that none of us like, that have been to those games.
And they're leaving the CCHA.
Right, they're leaving the CCHA because they're apparently too good for us. And they scheduled us anyway. One more thing before you get to talking about them is, not only are we screwed by playing a D1 team, but the GLIAC said, hey guys, we know you were last place last year. You want to be last place? Well, yeah, last place last year. Want to be last place again? And scheduled us Davenport twice.
I don't know how that works. Apparently, the first Davenport game is technically just a non-conference game.
Were we just unable to get enough non-conference opponents? Because we're that bad?
I don't know the answer to that. I will have to refer to some of my internal sources.
Get back to me on that, because
although
that's really
my internal sources are much more keen to know locker room vibe, not back off, like the front office.
Well, we'll see.
They're not in the front office. They're in the locker room.
You could certainly inquire about it and let me know, but certainly strange. But what is your theory as to why we scheduled the D1 team? Is it money? It's always money, right?
Well, I think that's part of it, because I do not know, although there apparently is a way to find out through the Freedom of Information Act. Like we can do a request. I know some organization or some journalists have done that, to request how much money is St. Thomas giving us to play them.
It's got to be a couple $100,000.
I don't know. I don't know but
because normal D1 teams will shell out millions.
That's possibly true. But here's my theory. Here's my theory. It's to save the coach's job. If he can pull off a miracle win, if he can pull it off, if he can pull off the miracle win, or at least keep it close,
would that save his job?
The athletic director won't fire him.
If we go 1-11 and that's our only win, you think he'd say, all right?
To be honest, the coach needs to win the GLIAC. to save his job.
I don't think so. I just think you have
You
to
went 0-22 the first 2
I
years.
think he just has to have a winning season. A winning season. Now,
A winning
we will go nowhere near a winning season because I can already chalk up losses. This is even an optimist can already chalk up losses to Davenport twice,
Yes.
Ferris State, Grand Valley, and St. Thomas.
We
and
might. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna win
So
against
that's
Tech
already
again.
That's already a losing record right there. Is it 11 games or 12? I always forget.
11.
Okay, so that's already a losing record. So it's not going to happen.
Do you think we can beat Roosevelt? Maybe.
Roosevelt, maybe.
But like,
flip that around so I can see the schedule.
yes, go right ahead.
So let's take a look at this. So we have Minnesota State Moorhead, which are they D2 or D3?
Let me find out.
They're
Oh my
D2,
goodness.
aren't they? Because we play them in basketball.
They have to be.
They're D2 basketball, right? And the basketball team has to be the same level as football team, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Or no, it's the other way around, right?
They are in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference.
That doesn't help me.
That doesn't help us at all.
I think
The
that's
Northern
D2.
Sun is, yep, it is.
D2.
It is
So
D2.
it's with a lot of the G League or CCHA teams, actually, Bemidji's, Augustania, Mankato. Okay, so they're D2.
They're basically one of the Midwest
They're a good D2
D2
team as well.
conferences.
They're not as good as a conference as ours, but I still don't foresee us winning even at home.
Yeah.
Northwood, I don't see it. Road game. St. Thomas, no way. Davenport,
Plus 30, plus
right.
40, plus 50. What is it? Well, what?
Knowing them and knowing that they don't like us, I'm going to say plus 50.
I'm gonna shock you right now. So I went on the Macy ratings
Uh-oh. Are they
matchup.
bad?
We apparently have a 20% chance of winning, or 18 to 20% chance of winning this
It's a
game.
new season. They have to reset the odds. It'll be 0% by the time we get to week 3.
That is, yeah.
Okay, Davenport, no way. So we're at 0-4. Saginaw Valley, probably not, but they creamed us the last time. Grand Valley, no way.
Dream on. Grand Valley could beat.
Grand Valley could be 60. Roosevelt, maybe, but it's on the road, so I don't know. Tech, no way. Ferris, no way. Davenport, again, no way. Wayne State, probably not.
Possibly.
So you could say 2-9 at best.
2-9.
1 and
That's
10.
so sad.
1-10 is going to be my prediction.
That is so sad.
I also hold a personal grudge against this team, though, because I keep trying to volunteer for them just to like get some experience and be on the sidelines, and they keep not answering me. They keep not answering. Not just me.
You know why? They probably know you do a radio show.
Well, no, because I had
And
someone
crap
else
on.
reach out on my behalf without saying my name. They just don't really seem like they want help, which is crazy because could you get any worse?
They did mess up my paperwork when I tried out.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't try out 2 years ago. And I'm kind of glad because
Yeah,
I'm
you wouldn't wanna be on
more
this team.
used to basketball than football. I think my body would fall apart.
I just like, I don't know. And like I watch some of their interviews and it's just like, they're always like, oh, we'll get them next time. And they're like, say, oh, we were so close, but you lost by 50. You really weren't close. I don't know. I just like, is it crazy of me to say that we really should be doing walk-on tryouts at this point? If an NFL team can do it in the Eagles and actually do it well, NMU is so bad at this point, might as well do walk-on tryouts.
Well, they do walk on. They do walk on tryouts almost every year.
No, but like a bigger scale, like, high advertisement. Anybody can walk in, no football experience. Can you run fast? Can you catch a ball? Okay.
They tried. I'm telling you, as someone who tried to go in their NFL tryout the tryouts. There were about a dozen people that showed up.
That's my point. You got to.
And they messed up my. Yeah, apparently it had to do with what is it? It's something with the blood where it doesn't hold oxygen very well. Sickle cell disease. Yeah, they have to do a test with sickle cell, and apparently that paperwork didn't like go in on time or something from our medical department, and so they couldn't let me try out, even though I just wanted to be a kicker. I'm a
Yeah,
punter. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a punter.
I don't know. It's just disaster on
I mean, I
all
can
levels.
catch, I can kind of
mean,
throw. I understand the West Coast
Right.
offensive scheme, except I don't think that would have helped because they
No.
did triple option.
I
90% of the
just like
time.
we're not even gonna harp on it anymore.
I'm not going to harp on
But
it.
it's just like the schedule was bad. Probably gonna have to get a new coach and reset at the end of the year. Like, not all signs are pointing towards another frustrating season. I can tell you that attendance will be down again. Maybe that's why we scheduled St. Thomas, is we really need that shortfall to be made up. We'll see. Maybe all those NIL dollars that we're getting for the football program will go to use. But
Let's
at the
find
moment,
out.
I don't think so. To a happier, lighter topic, March Madness
Yes.
is culminating, I believe it's this week, with the Florida-Houston National Championship game.
Yes.
A pretty boring tournament, in my opinion. All one seeds in the Final Four. The lowest seed in the Elite Eight was, I believe, 3-seed Texas Tech.
Although it was the first time, I think maybe it's their second time in history that all one seeds.
It was.
the
First time since
64 team,
2008. It's happened before that, I think, but second time this century.
Okay.
So, I mean, just a boring tournament. If you're like me and you enjoy watching Cinderellas, this is by far the least March Madness I've ever watched. And I still watched a decent amount of games. Obviously, Michigan State, you could say Michigan State did better, but we both got knocked out by the same team. So
There was an opportunity to play against each other. That would have been cool.
that would have been fun, but Auburn was just a really good team and honestly blew
they
it
are.
against Florida and really should have been in the national championship game for the first time in their history. You'd think a team with Charles Barkley got to the finals, but no. So once again, Auburn chokes in the finals. Let's do a quick recap of
Let me bring up that UConn, their women's team, with Paige Beckers, right? She's the star player.
Yep,
on
won
that
the
team.
championship.
Won the championship first time since 2016.
Yep, for the women's.
For the women's.
Absolutely crushed South Carolina.
Yeah, and then who's the team before? It's
I
been
think
there.
UCLA, and it wasn't close in that one.
They
either.
just
So UConn was
insane.
unfairly, I think, a 2 seed. And if you know women's college basketball, which I don't super well, but I know a little bit, I really saw UConn making the finals from a mile away. I thought South Carolina was going to win again, but I think no surprise for anyone
Mhm.
that UConn made it to that point.
So in our bracket, we had, at least in the final, Florida over Duke. No, I'm sorry, Florida over Tennessee.
Yeah, our
But
bracket
Florida is
not
the
great.
only team left, and so we have it where Florida wins, and I think this would be at least for me personally, if Florida wins, it'd be the first time I ever got the championship pick correct in my life.
I think I have before, maybe. But let's do a quick recap of, I think, the last time we were here, which was an eon ago, 2 weeks ago. My brother was here.
Yes.
We were predicting the Sweet 16. So we can look at our second chance bracket, but I want to do a quick recap of how that went. So unsurprisingly and disappointingly for me as a Wolverines fan, Auburn beats Michigan, which we had correct, and Michigan State beats Ole Miss in a thriller, which Ole Miss sold that game.
Which, by the way, our second chance bracket is has a lower percentile. Is
Than
a
our
lower
original.
percentile than our original.
Yeah, my brother messed it up. It's all my brother.
It's all your brother's fault,
I doubt he's listening, but if he is, Alex, it's on you.
Alex.
Anyway,
it's on
so
site. No, just kidding.
we
Just kidding.
picked Michigan State over Ole Miss in the Sweet 16. That was a thrilling game and a fun one to watch, and I really thought Ole Miss had it, but in the end, Ole Miss could not stink a single shot and went down. Auburn then comfortably defeated Michigan State in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I saw parts of that.
So I watched that whole game, and not the whole game, a good chunk of the game. Florida blew out Maryland, which was unsurprising to us. Texas Tech beat Arkansas, although Arkansas had, I think it was like an 18-point lead early in the second half. So Dom and Alex were calling me crazy for picking Arkansas, and despite me being incorrect in the end, I think given how close of a game that was, my pick is at least justified. It's not
Sure.
insanity anymore like you guys claimed the other week. I can't remember who I picked, but we incorrectly picked Texas Tech over Florida. I want to say I picked Florida, but I could be wrong. Texas Tech ultimately could not stop Walter Clayton and the Gator attack. On the other side of the bracket, we had correctly Duke over Arizona. No surprise there. Cooper Flagg is a unicorn. Alabama made a record amount of threes and insane 3-point percentage. Not like an all-time record, but just insanity. They shot ridiculously well from the 3-point line, blew out BYU, who again got there in a very close game after beating Wisconsin. Duke blows out Alabama. Again, no real surprise there. Cooper Flagg once again in domination. And then in the Midwest region, Houston over Purdue, we got correct. That was a thrilling game, although Tennessee getting knocked out early was poor for our bracket, and it was even poorer because they beat Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So Tennessee beats Kentucky by 13 in a blowout, and then Houston blows out Tennessee by 19, which gets us to the Final Four. Auburn had a very big lead early. Florida comes back and wins. Again, Walter Clayton was a stud. And then Houston, a thriller over Duke, wins at the end of the game. Duke was up by 8, I think, with less than a minute left. And Houston pulled that one out. I still think Florida's going to win the national championship, but I don't know about you. I think it's really shocking that Duke went down in that manner. So, boring tournament overall, but there's been some bright spots, some thrilling games.
Well, I mean, if you're fans of these programs,
right? If you are
excited,
a Florida fan, it's the first time since 2008, so of course you're excited. In Houston, I don't know if Houston, it's got to be since like the 70s. I don't know when they had like Ralph Sampson. It's been a long time, I think, since Houston made a final, if they ever did. Maybe Dom, check that right now. I should have done my research ahead of the show, but it's been a long time since the Cougars. Runner-ups in 83 and 84. So I was close. I said 70s, 80s.
They did go to the Final Four in 21 in 2021.
So they've been to a few Final Fours, but runner-ups in 83 and 84, I want to say it was probably the Houston Ralph Sampson teams. But point is, it'll be their first national championship. It'll be Florida's first since they're back-to-back in 2007 and 2008. I've got Florida winning, but I think it's going to be an interesting game. Not one I will be tuning into, but you are welcome to tune in if you are interested in doing so. It will be at what time? The national championship?
8:50.
Tonight at 8:50. So if you are interested,
tonight.
You may tune in. I will not be doing so, but for those of you who do, hopefully it's a thrilling game. We'll talk more about it next week, I'm sure. Are you agreeing with me on my Florida pick, or are you going to take Houston?
Well, I'll stick with Florida. I mean, I already
Right, our bracket says
Florida. Our bracket says Florida, so we should probably own up to that.
That's fair. Okay. So sticking on the college basketball train, because it really is that time of year.
I will say, for our regular bracket, we're in the top 10 million brackets.
Hey, we're in the 54.6 percentile.
9,995,938th place.
Okay, let's look at.
Sorry, I had to.
I made like 12 brackets. Let's see if a single one of my brackets is above that point, because I'm going to bet that it's not. It was a rough year this year because you pick a reasonable number of upsets, and the one I entered into a tournament did really badly.
Yeah.
Okay, my second bracket with Florida winning is just ahead of the shows. That's the one I should have entered, and I knew I should have entered it right after I made it. The one I picked Michigan to win is really bad.
I would historically have at least a bracket that Michigan State wins at all.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's just that's for my own ego, not because I'm being serious.
I mean, you gotta, right? You gotta be a fan of your own team. My worst bracket is 6.2 percentile, where I had St. John's winning.
Why? Was that just random?
No, but I wanted to pick an underdog team.
Oh.
You forget I'm underage too.
So. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So don't admit your crimes on the radio or
no. I made that bracket completely sober and still messed it up. So my second bracket is the only one over 50%. So yeah. I didn't have a great year. I historically don't have a great year. Normally I just tune in to watch for fun.
Yeah.
I know a lot about the players and the teams, but in terms of actually picking March Madness, I am.
Well, it is the bottom of the hour. So for anyone who is just joining us, this is WUPX 91.5 FM H1 Marquette. This is the Jack and Dom radio show. You have mentioned here Michigan and Michigan State basketball portal update.
Yes, exactly. So Michigan State has had a couple of high-profile transfers out. Nothing in as of yet. Historically, Tom Izzo waits very late in the window to get some underrated guys or doesn't really pursue the transfer portal at all, which I know draws the ire of many Michigan State fans. You may be able to attest to that. But so far, no action in terms of incoming players. In terms of outgoing, you have Trey Holloman, Xavier Booker, and then a redshirt player. Trey Holloman being one of your better guards, and then Xavier Booker being your 7'5" star that just never really materialized. So two strong rotation players. You've also got a couple guys graduating this year that were really big players, but not much major outgoing news for you. Just rotational guys and a couple graduates. If you want to check while I'm talking.
It's the same for your NMU.
It's a little bit like
rotational.
Holloman was a big player for you guys down the stretch. And you can look up while I'm talking. There were a couple guys that are graduating this year. Your really big thing, though, MSU basketball is going to be in a really bad position, and I don't think it'll happen, but it could. Do you think your star player, Jace Richardson, will go – look at graduates, not transfers. Do you think your star player, Jace Richardson, is going to go to the draft?
I don't know.
I'm leaning towards no, but if you lose your star player, I think it's going to be a tough year. Okay, so this year you have 6 basketball players graduating. That's a couple years ago.
This is a couple years ago.
We're out of date. We got to find an updated one for you. But there's a couple seniors graduating this year that were significant impacts on the team. You might just want to look at the official roster to find them. But while Dom is looking, I would check the official roster. That'll get it to you fastest. While Dom is doing that, Michigan also had a lot of players transferring out. We had redshirt Justin Pippen. Yes, it's the son of Scottie Pippen. Trey Donaldson, one of our better rotational players. Sam Walters, one of our reserve forwards. And Jace Howard, a grad transfer. So we lose 2 guys that didn't play. Sam Walters, our rotational forward. So, and then we also lost Trey Donaldson, one of our better guys. So Michigan loses 2 good players. The thing Michigan, though, is my Wolverines are going to lose both of our star big men, Vlad Golden and probably Danny Wolf, to the NFL draft.
Okay.
So Michigan getting hit hard by graduating. MSU is too. You're losing your best player in Jaden Akins. Frankie Fiddler and Simone Zapala were really crucial down the stretch. I would argue Zapala was your anchor throughout the tournament.
And he's the 7-foot senior I was referring to earlier.
Yep, so he's out. So you're losing your best player, potentially.
Due to graduation.
No. I'm talking about Jace Richardson.
Oh.
Your best player is considering the NBA draft. I think he'll stay. Losing him would be an extremely big blow, though.
Yeah.
You're losing your other best player, Jaden Akins, to graduation. Your best big man to graduation. Frankie Fiddler, which I would argue is your glue guy, to graduation. You got one of your better guards transferring and one of your rotational forwards transferring. So that's tough. Michigan is in the same boat, right? Our best players gone to graduation. 2 good rotational transfers gone. But Michigan, unlike Michigan State, has jumped on the portal immediately and has capitalized. We'll look at Michigan's roster, but I believe of relevant players, Wolf and Golden are the only super impactful.
No enter button.
You just have to go down.
Oh.
Impactful guys. So Golden graduating, Reuben Jones, solid defensive player, but rotational guy graduating. Jace Howard didn't really play. Oh, and Namari Burnett. Okay, so a couple guys. Namari Burnett, Reuben Jones, Ian Burns was not a guy. So we're losing essentially Golden, Jones, Donaldson. Burnett. So 3 really good players. Donaldson to transfer, Walters to transfer. So we're losing 2 starters, 3 rotational guys. Michigan State is losing 3 starters and 3 rotational guys.
Yeah.
So about the same. However, Michigan capitalized in the portal. We got Yaxel Landenberg, and I encourage you to look at these players, Dom, just so you can, just for yourself.
This is for what? Oh, you.
Yaxel Landenberg with a Y. You'll have to look up their names. You won't be able to find them on the basketball roster yet. These are incoming transfers. So Yaxel Landenberg, who I just want to see his stats, and so that you get a better understanding of who he is as a player. But you just click on anywhere or look at his stats, anything. Yaxel Landenberg was the number 1 player consensus available in the portal. 17.7 points per game, 11.4 rebounds this season. Over 50% from the floor. The big thing for a bad 3-point shooting team like Michigan, 35% from beyond the 3-point line, 4 assists a game. He can block, he can steal. Dynamic player. He's 6'9", so basically he's going to be the like-for-like replacement for Danny Wolf. Another guy that you can look up, Morez Johnson from Illinois, which, Dom, I don't know if you watched any of the Illinois games, but if you did, he was the guy with the big kind of pigtaily hair. Another big man. He'll likely be our center. Michigan really doesn't have many big men, but he is a younger guy. He's a freshman. As a freshman, got meaningful minutes for the Illini, 64% from the floor, 7 rebounds a game. For a true freshman, not bad. So he will likely make an impact. He will likely be our starting center just because of our lack of big men. Crossing my fingers that we get Danny Wolf back or another transfer. And the final transfer, by the way, I should mention that all 3 of these are like consensus top 15 guys. So like they are studs. Number 3, and I'm sure there's more to come, is Elliot Cadeau from UNC. Elliot Cadeau. I believe he is a senior. He might even be a grad transfer. A lot of people have mixed feelings, I know, about this one. But he is a top point guard from UNC. He will be a like-for-like replacement for Trey Donaldson, probably an upgrade. Last season, 6 assists a game, 9 points a game. A little bit poor shooting from the field at 44.5%, but he can shoot above 33 from behind the arc. Best known as his playmaking as a distributor with 3 points a game, 6 assists a game. Point is, though, Michigan went out in the portal. They got the number 1 guy available and 2 other consensus top 15 guys to fill some holes. I bet you Michigan will get 2 or 3 more guys, probably a big man. So, as a Michigan fan, it's exciting to see. But, Don, I'm sure you can to attest as a Michigan State fan that you're being patient because Izzo is one of the greats, and I'm sure, if not the, well,
and I had an
greats.
opportunity to talk to him, and I didn't take it. I'm still regretting that.
But he is one of the top 5 coaches of all time, for sure. Michigan is highly targeting a 7'3" center, Adai Mara.
My goodness,
really nice.
7'3".
So imagine
I'm
this.
6'3", and I'm tall.
But imagine
that tall.
Imagine Michigan's lineup, though. They won't start all 3 of these guys, but imagine they go big. Okay.
Imagine if they did. But how would you do that? How would you set that up?
It'd be tough. But imagine Michigan decides to go big against a team.
Yeah.
And they get this guy, which is TBD, but I have a feeling they'll get him. 7'3" center. You'll have to look up the Morez guy again, but I want to say he's like 7 foot. The forward they're getting is 6'9". If Danny Wolf comes back, he's 7'1". I don't think he'll come back. But imagine that. You have 4 guys 6'9" or tall. Combined with a 5-star freshman guard coming in. You have most of your guys coming back. You have LJ Kaysen, who was a freshman guard last year, who's only going to get better, and he's probably going to start at guard this year. That's going to be fun to watch. Now, I don't think Danny Wolf is going to come back. Mara's about a 50-50. So, you don't know. But I think Michigan's going to build on its momentum from last year and be good, and State is just consistently good. They just rebuild. Jace Richardson leaving would hurt, but I think he's going to stay. So, we had good seasons this year. I think we're going to have good seasons again next year. I think Michigan and Michigan State will be early favorites for the Big Ten. I think UCLA is going to be up there again. I think Wisconsin will be up there. Purdue is always a threat. Illinois. It's going to be a competitive Big Ten, but I think Michigan and Michigan State, you can argue potential favorites for the Big Ten. I'm going to skip to the record alert, then we'll jump back.
Yes.
To other things.
So you have in parentheses, does Dom know what happened yesterday?
Do you?
No, I do not know. So
Being in a hockey city like Marquette and a hockey state like Michigan, yes, I watched it live. I watched it live, actually.
Wayne Gretzky's scoring record got broken.
Correct. Alex Ovechkin breaks the goal-scoring record of Wayne Gretzky. What's really interesting is the original, not the original, one of the first all-time greats, Gordie Howe, held it for 31 years. Wayne Gretzky held it for 31 years. So watch out for 2056 because someone's going to potentially break it then.
That's
but yes,
funny you did the math on that.
Ovechkin, I didn't do the math on that. Someone else did when I was watching the broadcast. But Ovechkin cements himself. He was already one of the all-time greats. Really did it now. He has said that he's going to be playing in Russia the next couple years, so he will be out of the NHL. But you could argue that if he stayed in the NHL with his longevity, he could get real close to 1,000. He won't. I think he's going to go elsewhere. Players get old, they retire, whatever. Yeah. But he could come real close to 1,000 if he wanted to. He'll hit 900, I think, pretty easily if he plays next year. This year is only 7 games left, so he'd have to go on a run. But 900 is very possible. 1,000, I think, is a bit out of reach. But cemented himself as the greatest goal scorer of all time, one of the greatest, probably top 3 players of all time with Wayne Gretzky. You could argue Gordie Howe and Ovechkin. And he did it in an era where you're not playing against farmers and bricklayers and guys that are
they're part-timers.
Right, exactly. You're playing against the best of the best, the most elite athletes of all time,
for as long as he
the hardest hitting of all time, the best goalies of all time, in an era where goals are way, way down from that era. No one's getting 200 points like Gretzky did. I'd say Gretzky is still the undisputed all-time GOAT, but I do think Ovechkin, in terms of goal scoring, is the best we'll ever see.
Are you arguing that Wayne Gretzky is the GOAT of GOATs, or just the GOAT of hockey?
GOAT of hockey. GOAT of GOATs is a night. I wasn't planning on having this debate.
Well, I don't want to have the debate now because there are other topics I want to bring up.
We'll save it for next week.
But
add that to the show sheet.
But you got Michael Jordan, you got Tom Brady, you got Serena Williams.
I'm not necessarily arguing that.
You got
I would
Tiger Woods. You got Tony Hawk.
All right, next week. I'll talk about it next week.
Who's the guy who eats all the hot dogs every year?
Oh,
what's that guy? Yeah,
his name's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway,
right. So yeah.
But the point is, we can discuss that next week. Actually, that's a genius segment that you should add to our show sheet right now. Actually,
who is the GOAT of GOATs? Yeah. I will later.
Okay. I know football season is 21 weeks away, I think now. But I think it's always fun to do a very early prediction.
Are you talking about our football team?
Not of our football team. We already established we're going 1-10 or 0-11 of our teams.
So NFL, we're going to go with the Lions?
No, I was thinking college.
Okay.
NFL, you got to wait post-draft. But CFB, you don't really have that kind of restriction. We'll start with Dom's Spartans. So let's take a look.
Let me look through here because the Macy ratings. Because the schedule, the schedule has already been released.
Correct. So we'll start with Dom's Spartans, and then we'll do my Wolverines, and then a general playoff pick. Macy has Michigan at 9, which, as a Michigan fan, I'm impressed that we're that high. By the way, how accurate is Macy? If you look at their start of year to end of year, are they normally pretty consistent?
Generally.
Okay,
and,
so I like
and if there are upsets, they do adjust the algorithm to compensate.
Right, but I'm saying, for the most part, if they think a team's going to be top 10, do they normally end up top 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so I should be optimistic.
Generally, but not always. There are teams that are bad that end up good.
Actually, I want to see what their top 10 is.
Sure.
They say overall top 10. I'm just curious for my own information. Okay, so they have.
Ohio State.
See, Ole Miss in the top 10 and Tennessee are the only two I disagree with. But you have Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Bama. Bama 4 is interesting to me. Penn State, Texas, Oregon, Ole Miss, Michigan, Tennessee. Okay, I don't hate that. Although Indiana in the top 15, Kansas State in the top 20.
They have been doing fairly well in the last few years.
I just
that's
don't
why
think
that's why
that.
it's
USC in the top 20 is absolutely insane. Anyway, we'll go back to the Spartans. Okay.
sorry.
I'll say the Wolverines.
No, I'm teasing you. Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the Spartans here. So, Western Michigan, I think you could chalk up as a win.
Yep.
Boston College is 50-50 because you almost lost to them last year.
Yeah.
I think.
No, we did lose to them. Did we?
Oh, you're right.
But we barely won. It was close. It was a close game.
Did you win or lose?
I think we lost against Boston College.
Okay, either way, I think you're going to barely win this year. You're going to beat Youngstown State.
Yep. That's what happened.
At USC, I think you lose.
We're going to lose that game as well.
You're going to disagree with me, but I don't think you're winning on the road against Nebraska because I think Nebraska on the road is a tough one.
It's always a tough place to play.
So I don't see you winning that one. Are you agreeing with me at 3-2?
It would be a fight. That will be a fight.
I'll give State the benefit of the doubt. I know as a Michigan fan, it sounds crazy that I'm giving State the benefit of the doubt. But I disagree with Macy. I think you will beat UCLA at home.
Macy has Michigan State a 40% chance of winning.
Okay, I think you win that.
Okay. 40-60, yeah. I mean, like, there are many times
right.
where
I think you win that.
Yeah.
By the way, I think 25% for Nebraska and 17% for USC are low. Despite the fact that I think Michigan State's going to be mediocre. That's still crazy.
Yeah.
And Indiana, I don't think you're winning. I think
No.
Indiana's going to have a down year, but not that down.
Not that down.
So 4-3. You're not beating us. Stop.
Okay, hold on.
I know you almost did last year.
Let me make my case here real quick. Hold on. Let me give me like 15 seconds. Okay. We barely lost against you guys last year at Michigan. Okay. We're hungry. We're better. I think we're going to be better this year than we were last year. I disagree with Macy as well because it says we have a 10% chance.
I give you a 12.
I think we win by a touchdown.
Hell no. I think you lose by 14-20.
No.
Well, I'm telling you why. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, Michigan is a much better quarterback this year. You can pick any one of the three. You've got Fresno State's quarterback coming back from injury, but he's pretty darn good. He lit up Michigan when he played against us, okay? So solid dual threat quarterback. Former 5-star freshman quarterback. Not sure how good he is because he redshirted. But presumably better than the dead corpses we had on the field last year, right? And then you've got Bryce Underwood, who I think is the real deal, and who I think will start against Michigan State. And Michigan State, I don't know a lot about Michigan State, but the little bit I watched from Michigan State, Michigan State's run defense, especially against us, was actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
However, downfield passes, Michigan State got shredded.
That's been a struggle for us
not just against us. But I think with a competent quarterback, with the receiver transfers that we got, mainly Donovan McCulley from Indiana, we have a new offensive coordinator, an actual offensive coordinator, not the dead man we had last year. Okay, this guy, I don't know how much you know about him, Don, but our new offensive coordinator, just a few, semi-notable names. Sam Howell, another UNC guy whose name I'm tripping on, a couple other NFL quarterbacks with great college success, limited pro success, but, not every good college player pans out. Highly regarded offensive coordinator. So, we got rid of our biggest weakness, a bad offensive coordinator. We got a better quarterback. I just don't see it. We'll cover it more in detail another
it
time.
gets closer.
But I think that's delusional. I'm sorry. I don't see it.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Are you officially picking them to win, or are you?
I am officially picking Michigan State as of right now to beat Michigan.
Okay. So
I'm sorry. The school 1 hour down the road.
Dom is out of his mind, and
when am I not?
needs his medicine. But I have the Spartans at 4-4 after their loss to Michigan. At Minnesota, they think they're going to lose.
Seems like it.
I will agree. So 4-5. Lose to Penn State 4-6. At Iowa, I think you lose 4-7.
I know. It's so sad.
I could see you beating
So sad.
Maryland, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll say you're 5-7.
Oh,
You're saying you're 6-6 because you
maybe 7-5.
Stop.
But we have to get another upset.
You have a really tough schedule, and you're in a rebuilding phase.
Yes, we are, and I will find out at USC how good we do against USC.
I don't think USC is going to be good.
Depends. Will depend on our.
Oh, I think you'll
trajectory.
do fine, but only because I don't think USC is good. If you pull an upset, USC might be the chance. Okay. Michigan's also got
different.
Michigan's got a gauntlet. The difference is we're actually picked to win.
Michigan State. We're not playing Ohio State this year.
No, you're not.
Good.
Don't think that'll matter because you've got a gauntlet. By the way, Macy saying we have a 28% chance to beat Ohio State is hilarious to me because they say that every year we still win. That being said, I think we'll lose, but 28%.
They are the defending national champs.
28% is disrespectful. Okay. New Mexico, I think you can agree we're going to blow them out.
Yep, 99. Yeah.
I like Macy here. I do think we're going to beat Oklahoma on the road.
That's gonna be a
This
tough
will be
game.
our true test. However,
Yes.
Oklahoma was mediocre last year, and this is where I think you're going to get. This is not a national championship game, obviously, but I think you're going to get a repeat of the Tua Tagovailoa situation.
Okay.
Whoever our starting quarterback is will probably not be our true freshman. It might be. I hope it is. If they start him game 1 against New Mexico, then you know he's the real deal. But I think we start one of our other guys. Probably a redshirt freshman because our senior is injured and Davis Warren will never touch our football field again. I mean, he beat Alabama, he beat Ohio State. All the credit in the world to him. He's not a Michigan caliber quarterback. Great guy. He beat cancer, love the guy, but not a Michigan caliber quarterback. So I think true freshman's going to come in against Oklahoma, which, by the way, Oklahoma's done that before too with Jackson Arnold, although it didn't work out very well for Oklahoma. But Bryce Underwood is no Jackson Arnold. So I think our true freshman comes in, we win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Think that's fair?
Yes.
Okay, CMU is going to be a win.
Even Macy says 100%.
Yeah.
I love how it always, because if you ever go on the website
It's a
and look at their
99.9.
well, they never put the 0.9. I think it averages. So if the algorithm really says 99.9, it just averages to the nearest whole number.
Okay,
It always does that. And so that's why it's listed as 100% chance of winning. The score apparently will most likely be, according to them, 43-6.
That's fair. Okay, Nebraska on the road, despite the fact that I think Nebraska's going to be better. Even if we're a bad team this year, we're not losing that game.
Okay.
We're not. Same with Wisconsin. Even if we're bad
Say
this
you have
year.
an 80% chance of winning that game. Yeah.
Right, we're not losing those. So I can say Oklahoma, I could see us losing if we're a mediocre or bad team. Those other 4 are shoo-in wins. So I'm at 5-0. I think Macy is crazy in terms of overrating USC. We still have a 55% chance to win.
Okay.
I think we win. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose, though. Again, I don't know how
By a
good Bryce.
field goal. I think you guys lose by a field goal.
I think we'll win, but that wouldn't surprise me. Not because
Here, actually, wait. If Michigan State beats USC, you guys beat USC.
I think we're going to beat USC either way. I don't think Michigan
Okay.
State's how they play against them will ever be buried. Unless they lose by 50, then I'll be like, okay.
Something's up. Yeah.
But again, I think it comes down to who is quarterback and how are they doing. Right? Bryce Underwood's going to get really tough game against Oklahoma if he plays. Cupcake game against CMU. Nebraska's no joke, but I would argue cupcake game for a team like Michigan.
I wouldn't call it a cupcake.
Not a cupcake game, but point is, it's an easy enough game for you to get a freshman in. Wisconsin, again, a freshman QB will thrive.
It's when USC win, Washington.
Well, USC, I think, will be the real test. And Oklahoma,
USC is going to be close.
But I think we
it's
win.
gonna be a loss.
Washington, I think we win. Washington is not going to be good this year.
Michigan State, we've already talked about
Okay,
that.
we disagree there. I think Michigan's winning. Purdue is another shoo-in. Northwestern, another shoo-in. Maryland, I'd
These
say
are like 80,
another shoo-in.
90% chances of winning against these games.
Buckeyes, I do think we do lose. I say it every year, and then we win. So I'm going to stick with that and hope we win.
I'm also going to say you guys are going to lose that game.
Okay, so Dom thinks 10-2. I think 11-1. I'd be thrilled either
Yes.
way after the season we had last year. Okay. One other thing. Stay on that for a minute, and then we can go on. So I think, okay, let's say hypothetically they give Bryce Young, which I think they will, some exposure against New Mexico in garbage time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'll start against Oklahoma. I think he'll only play against Oklahoma for losing. He'll probably, I would guess, start the entire game against Central, because why wouldn't you? You could throw like 2 pick sixes and still win. It's Central.
Yes.
Okay. I then think, I don't know what will happen there. Either he looks amazing, like world beating against Central Michigan, and he starts, or I think they might split time against Nebraska or start the other guy. By the time you hit Wisconsin, I think they'll have decided. If Bryce Young is our starting quarterback, I truly think there's a shot we go undefeated.
Sure.
If he's not,
there's a shot we go undefeated as well, but
stop. That's not realistic, though. Us being
realistic.
undefeated is not crazy, because most experts, including this website, have us at 11 wins. So going undefeated is not crazy. However, if he's not good enough to start, for whatever reason, I think we could be as bad as 9-3 or as good as 11-1. We'll see. The simulation has Michigan going 9-3. I think that's a bit harsh.
Well, no, it's 25.
Oh, that's the average. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, but there's
I think it's percentile.
No, it's a percent chance.
Okay.
Go back to that. So they have a 25% chance of us having 9 wins, 14 of 10, 25 of 11, right? Go back. Need to be able to see that again. Yeah, 25 for 9, 25 for 10, 14 for 11, 3 for 12, 17 for 8. That's weird to me. I think we're getting.
I think we're just because statistics is.
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, when you run this many simulations, you're bound to have some upsets.
Yeah.
Also, I really wouldn't be shocked if we went 9-3 because I don't know what our quarterback situation is. But again, if Bryce Underwood is starting, I think we do better. Okay. Unless you have something you really want to look at, I want to wrap up the show by picking our playoff bracket for the CFB, and you should write this down somewhere so we can.
Hold on, I am looking for something and I can't find it. Where is it? I think it's this one. No, where is it? Where did they put it?
Okay, while Dom is looking around, I'm curious who you think is going to be in the playoffs this year. I'm really curious who you kind of think. Yeah, they think we're only going to lose. They think they have a 14% win probability against St. Thomas. That's crazy. But
It is.
okay,
They might have a weak offense.
you've got the computers. I'm going to let you do the writing because it's a little bit easier. You can do it on the show sheet, you can do it on the doc, whatever you want. But I want to now, before we get even remotely close to the season, do our way too early picks.
We do. Well, it's 5:57.
We're up against time,
We
but
might
let's-
have to do this next week.
Let's pick our final 4 then. Let's make it quick. Our final 4 of college.
Ohio State, Alabama.
Write yours down, write mine down. So
Oh my
you
goodness.
first. And give me like a 30-second rationale.
I don't have a rationale. Ohio State.
Okay.
Bama.
Dom says Bama, Ohio State.
Oh my goodness. Give me. Wait, no, that's the.
Dom's looking at the Macy rating.
Well, yeah. Oh my goodness, what am I doing?
Okay.
Give me Texas. And give me. Oh my goodness. I'm basically picking Alabama over Georgia at this point. I need another conference. It's all Big Ten and SEC in the top.
it's 'cause
That's
the other conferences aren't very
ridiculous.
good.
That is ridiculous. Okay. Give me Notre Dame.
All right. So for mine, we're going to have Ohio State for obvious reasons, defending national champions. We're going to have Georgia, Notre Dame, And I'm going to say it's a tough one. There's not a lot of real front runners at this point. I will also go Texas with a caveat that my sleeper picks are Michigan and whoever the Big 12 champion is. But we're up against time. So that's it for this week. Very full segment.
Well, we will see you guys next week. This is the Jackie Dom Radio Show here on WUPX 91.5 FM H2O Marquette. Have a nice rest of your week.